Or you hear me talking a little bit too much, or I really want to bring someone very important to the stage, I'll say a few more words after she says hers. So, Nadine, if you can just come up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Nadine Rambo, and I am the Executive Director of Epicenter.
Hey.
Welcome to our facility. We have a couple of distinguished guests here today with us that I'd like to make sure that we recognize. First of all, let's recognize County Supervisor Miss Lisa Gaucher.
Yeah.
City Council Member Webster Lincoln. And former City Council Member Larry Moody. We are so happy to have all of you here with us today. For those of you who are new to the Epicenter building, this is a creative youth development nonprofit that seeks to amplify the creative potential in every young person. We offer free art, design, and technology classes and paid internships in high-wage creative fields for youth ages 6 to 25 in San Mateo County. Now, here, what happens? Many of the city's young people of color nurture their creative talents, their creative capacity, and their creative ability to build prosperity for the place that they live. We offer free, tuition-free, because you know it doesn't cost nothing, instruction and job training, and all of the creative fields, so mural design, visual art, dance, piano, guitar, drumming, to high-wage creative fields like artificial intelligence, graphic design, AR animation, and drone filmmaking. Yes, that's what we do here. But it would not have been possible without the youth of this city and the residents of this city. How this building came about is a long tale of struggle of residents in this community where you are. They've been fighting since the 1950s for self-determination in many different ways. Now, the specific work on this project began in 2010 when youth and leaders from Youth United for Community Action, YUCA, Live in Peace, and the Music, Mural, and Arts Program, and other leaders and youth in this city came together to imagine the possibilities. They chose this land that we are located on. They worked with the architect on the design of this facility, and they ensured that it was sustainably designed to make sure that it was safe, environmentally friendly for those who would come after them. It is because of them that we are now serving over 700 youth per year from this community, Redwood City and East Menlo Park. Yeah. This next generation is benefiting from their work, and so will each successive generation. But their work goes beyond themselves. They're giving back to this community, and I want to talk about how. They recently created and installed artwork on electrical boxes in this city. Over 145 students worked on that project. Through our Creative Core program, our interns are providing free marketing, social media, graphic design, videography, and building beautification services to nonprofits across the peninsula. Organizations who benefited from our interns' free work included the East Palo Alto Center for Community Media, Onyx Village Connection, Rise and the Little Blue House, Fresh Approach, Anamatangi Polynesian Voices, Nuestra Casa, and El Concilio in Redwood City, of course, and the East Palo Alto Community Archive. We are also developing a youth leadership program. Young adult leaders are now moving strategies forward to advance different types of concepts here in the city. Some are starting to conceptualize how we can offer affordable housing for creatives right here. Others are working on an annual series of cultural festivals. And some are now our teachers. They're teaching STEAM classes that they conceive of and develop themselves. This is what we call creative agency. When students develop their skills, apply their creative capacity, and change their lives and their community for the better. Now, the work that we do here would not be possible without generations of people who have come before us, who worked on this project before us, and who lived here before us. So we would like to acknowledge that Epicenter occupies the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of San Francisco Peninsula. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland and that we must embrace and collaborate meaningfully to record Indigenous knowledge and how we care for East Palo Alto and all of its people. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for believing in the power of youth as they lift others up and fly. Quincy.
Am I on? Am I on? How do I follow that up? I mean, I have to. But yes, another round of applause, another round of applause. But good afternoon. My name is Quincy Phillips. I am the founder and executive director of Lighthouse Innovation Center, formerly Lighthouse Silicon Valley, representing both San Mateo County and Santa Clara County and over 150 nonprofit and community-based organizations, including community colleges, folks like Stanford, and even some of our corporate partners. And the work that we do is really about exposing both safety net, social services, and career and workforce development for the most vulnerable populations. And I'm proud to actually have and be a partner of the Bay Area Urban Eagles, and we have some exciting things that are coming your way as we continue with this year. But the first thing I need to do is I need to read something, because this is definitely some interesting times that we find ourselves in. But even with these times that we find ourselves in, look at all of you in the room right now. Can we give a round of applause for yourself? The last 2 weeks have been heavy, in the aviation industry. Some stuff going around. A lot of conversations, a lot of things that are being based in fear. But again, organizations like the Bay Area Urban Eagles and so many other folks that you've seen in the exhibitor space, this is why this work is important. There's a lot more than just what's being talked about. And what we definitely don't want to do is belittle or limit the things and the promise that has been made over the last century, right? And so I'm really, really proud, and it's really timely to be able to kind of course correct a little bit, right? Really be able to set the record straight, showing the talent that we truly, truly have amongst us, not just here in the Bay Area, but across the country, and also listening to some of the leaders that we know have been doing a lot. And while some fears may be valid, the panel and partners we have here today show the true reality and a promise of what's ahead. But I can't get too ahead of myself, because part of that promise is having individuals like our newest county board supervisor, Lisa Gaucher, being in the position that she's in. And so I really would like to invite you up right now to say a few words.
Hello, and I just want to say thank you to Uncle Michael and to the Bay Area Urban Eagles. This is so important to have this type of teaching at an art center in the city of East Palo Alto, where we're exposing young people to different careers or to different thought processes. We know that you can't be what you can't see. So if we're not giving them opportunities and exposing them to different beginnings, how are they going to better themselves? So for Michael, who is teaching aviation, exposing aviation, and to all others who are here doing the work, I say thank you. As you've heard from Quincy, this is trying times for us right now, but we're going to get through it, because we've always been a resilient people. We will not give up. We will not give in to hate. We're stronger than that. So the fact that you're here, thank you for being here. I'm just excited to learn more. I would say to Uncle Michael, your nephew Camden is on his way. He's 4 years old and he loves aviation and airplanes. He is going to be so excited to see so many of you. And if you get a chance to talk to him, he will tell you all about airplanes at 4 years old. So we're going to get him in the air. But let's move on so we can hear from the great panel. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're also going to call up one of our newest council members, Webster Lincoln. Please come forward, say a few words.
I didn't really come prepared to speak today, but I'm inspired by a lot of the work that's going on in the community, including with the Bay Area Urban Flying Eagles, and these definitely are some trying times. But this programs like these all give us hope, and when it comes to inclusivity and really just giving back to the community, trying to teach our younger generations. But so, nevertheless, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One more, and probably one of my proudest introductions that I probably can make in my career. First of all, acknowledging Black History Month as well, of all here, Nadine, and everyone else that we see. But I'd like to now bring up General Yvonne Cagle.
Thank you each and all for being here today. This is why I'm here. I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to be left out. And there are so many ways that I wanted to represent. And I felt that the best way to do it was to share some of my most sincere, authentic thoughts, because that has no constraints on name, title, background. It crosses all lines and all borders, like what we see when we go to space and look back on this fragile blue marble that we call Earth, and we see no borders. We see only one world. And that's how I'm going to represent to you in the few moments that I just want to share my thoughts and reflections, coming from one heart, one world. What I'd like to say today is that over the years, I've achieved many things. I'm a physician, flight surgeon in the Air Force, retired Air Force colonel, astronaut, my PhD. I've been exhibited in the World Expo. I've been recognized by the White House with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. And thank you. Most recently was pinned Brigadier General in the California State Guard. That has been a lifetime of perseverance. But it is not just about the achievement. What I've learned is it's truly an emblem of the resiliency. And that's what I've really accomplished over such a storied career that exceeds the achievement, is that resiliency. And that's the torch that I want to pass today. So when you think about it, the content of our character has always been illuminated by the distinguished performance of Black brilliance and multicultural excellence. So I encourage you, I reach out in earnest to you to keep that dream alive. Be that personification. Be those very eyes, that very vision. Because the only way to give up that dream is to give up on that dream, to give it away. So keep on dreaming. All the way from East Palo Alto to the stars, Ad Astra, and beyond. Thank you.
What she failed to also mention in that extraordinary career that she's still experiencing is that she's been a remarkable mother. and a very, very, very dear friend of Bay Area Urban Eagles. And for that, Yvonne, I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And scientists from all over the world who come together, especially with tech now, they're talking across borders and everything about how to be environmentally conscious. So that's the first I would do. They're doing oceans, land, air, everything. Yeah. And then the other two would be Carnegie Mellon University has an extension on the Ames Research Center. It's a research park, Carnegie Mellon University. And they're doing aeronautics and rover tech and space tech, but they're doing it in a very next-gen, emerging frontier way. So they're really sharp. And I would have let it happen too. Really very state of the art. A lot of our solutions are coming out of sustainable solutions are coming out of there. And then the last one that I'll do a shout out to, it's not established yet, but on Monday, February 10th, if you Google it, there's an event invite for it where students can come and ask questions and get mentoring. But Berkeley University and Ames Research Center, University of California, Berkeley, and Ames Research Center are coming together to make a Berkeley Space University. First Space University. Right. Physically on the ground. It'll be at Ames. And it's going to be Berkeley faculty solutions reaching out across to all, institutions and academia to come for a global discussion about how we do space, all the way from space flight to space politics to space environmental policies. Yeah, so that Monday meeting is the first one. It's huge. There'll be others, but if you Google Berkeley Space University, then you should see NASA in there. If there's any way it's virtual, you can get an e-bike to that. You'll meet people who are already asking questions that you're already way ahead on. Yeah, I hope it helps.
Thanks, Ms. Katie.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Definitely appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate you. I got a question.
Yeah.
So you've been in space before?
Yeah.
What is it like in space?
It's just like it's like floating in your dreams. The only difference.
I'm sorry. Turn this way.
Sure.
Just because. The sun, no, the
That
sun.
was an orbit
The sun.
there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. What is it like in space?
It's just like flying or floating in your dreams. The only difference, and it's a very small one,
Okay.
is that you're wide awake.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Feels like you're floating in a pool without any drag or resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a hard struggle to take that? Obviously, you have a lot of accomplishments. It's actually very amazing. We actually did an online commercial to advertise for this platform, and I was just looking at your accomplishments, and it just seems amazing. Was it like a hard journey to do that?
It was a hard journey, but anything that, has, the opportunity to build resiliency
Okay.
is a journey worth investing in. It always gives back. You never walk away without taking away something that is going to serve you for the next giant leap.
Let me ask you this real quick, man, really quickly. I appreciate your time. Does it seem like the education was more of a challenge versus the obstacles when dealing with people, maybe discrimination or things of that nature? What would seem, because obviously that's, the education part obviously would seem extremely challenging, and obviously in life, you're going to deal with both. What would seem like the bigger challenge to you?
I think the biggest challenge was realizing that some of those external factors were limiting only because of how I perceive them. In other words, the limitations were in my own
Sure.
mind, and when I realized that that's really what is sort of driving and compelling the direction and the destination and how far you can go,
Yeah.
then you realize that, the power is in your hands to change the perception and take on a conversation so that it creates the trajectory that you want to go where you want to go.
Absolutely. You know what? I just want to thank you for your time and for being a great inspiration. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, General. Again, we can't clap loud and hard enough for the perseverance it takes to actually receive all of the accolades that she's received. So many of us will give up before we allow God to work. I'm sorry, I'm a preacher's kid as well. But before I go too far as well, I do need to shout out my homie, my friend, a confidant, someone I'm just proud of because I know how hard it is to do work here in the Silicon Valley and Bay Area. Nadine, what you've been able to do for this region, for this city, being able to sit in a facility like this, not just this theater. All of you probably came in and were swimming through some of the babies, right? This presence is for them. This opportunity is for them. We don't get this normally. But Nadine, you have fought for this. You continue to fight for this. You continue to find ways to keep these doors open, to have these programs be expanded upon, to also help the other leaders in our region who don't have it all. We don't have all the capacity that we can wish and dream of, right? And so I just really want to say thank you on behalf of myself, the Bay Area Urban Eagles, but more importantly, the future of this region. Just thank you again. Okay, now we're gonna get this party going, right? My apology, I told you I'm a preacher's kid, south side of Chicago. Uncle Jesse Jackson, what up though? Also, today we have a number of partners here to show the diversity and innovation of our industry. All of these partners are investing in the future, our youth, all of you, allowing us to soar to new heights. Many of you were able to see the exhibitor space, so I really want to pay close attention to those partners in the middle. United Airlines. Round of applause for United Airlines. They've been doing so much, and for you to even show up in this moment, I mean, you don't know what you might have faced, right? Being one of the pictures of what could and what should be, greatness. Again, being from Chicago, I've seen United a lot. Thank you all for showing up and continuing to show up for our community, not just for our babies, but also for the adults in the region. So thank you. Joby, one of probably the newest partners in this region, but also in the country and the nation. Joby, thank you. If you guys, y'all are familiar, y'all can get on y'all phones real quick. If you end up Googling Joby, you'll probably see a big announcement around Toyota too, right? Like there's a lot of money that's being put into this, and there's also a lot of talent being developed for the future of aviation. Right, we are coming upon those times. I don't know. I'm dating myself right now, but if any of you are familiar with a show called The Jetsons, I look at Joby as being one of those partners who is going to get me to the future I thought was going to be now. I swore I was going to be flying around. Zipline, truly appreciate you all for being here. The California Red Tails. If you don't know who they are, during Black History Month, again, Google's your friend. They're in the backyard. Won't spend too much time there. Tuskegee Airmen. Huge. Big time round of applause. Because I think, last week, one of the last remaining Tuskegee Airmen, I think he was like maybe 102, just passed away. One of our remaining Tuskegee Airmen. So again, big props to all of our partners who came here to make this happen. We could not do this without you. And another person we can't do any of this without is the founder, CEO, brother, friend, and even more. Y'all already know him. Michael, please come up to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hold on, Michael. I wanna do something for you.
Well, do that then.
DJ, there we go.
Many of these sounds are only experienced by some Bay Area Urban Eagles is a nonprofit established to close the gap between disadvantaged communities and aviation. We provide youth programs with hands-on learning from piloting to aviation mechanics, all taught by veterans in the field at no cost to you. Heed the call and assist the future of aeronautics by visiting urbaneagles.org. Will you be the next generation to take the skies?
All right. I want you, before you clap, I want to tell you the background of that the voiceover. Last year we did a program similar to this, and Nadine's amazing team, one of her team, gentlemen, put that together for us. So now, not clap for me, clap for him and the work that Nadine's doing here. Okay. So I'm not a talker, I'm gonna tell y'all now. That's why we got Q. So I'm gonna try to follow the slides. I don't have anything prepared, and don't do that. If you know me, you know I speak from my heart. Sometimes I speak too fast because it's in me. So I'm going to take a deep breath and slow down and let y'all know what we do. The reason we do this is because there's a need. I get kids through this community and the surrounding communities that are curious about aviation. I grew up in East Palo Alto, in the gardens, if y'all know East Palo Alto, and the airport was in my backyard. So I'd ride my little bike over to the airport trying to get a ride, basically. Finally, got my license. I'm gonna keep this story short. Got my license, saved up enough pennies to get a plane, and that young man right there his parents and he and his family belonged to a church I used to attend. He found out I had a plane. I found out that he wanted to learn how to fly, and my intent was just to work with him. At the time, he was 11 years old. He's 13 now. What culminated, that spark is what really kind of got Bay Area Urban Eagles started, because other kids, I saw the interest in other kids. And so we decided to do something and give back. And that's what I've always done. If you go to the next one. As I said, Desmond was the one who inspired me. We have a bunch of programs, a bunch of workshops. If you go to our website, you'll find them. The things that we do here are kind of the outreach that we do throughout the year, just not on this scale. We have monthly hangar days. We do airplane rides. We have, thanks to Joby, we have ground school. Just a ton of different programs. I can't name them all because, like I said, I'm not a speaker. One of the reasons that what we do is because we know that it's an expensive dream. So one of the biggest things, I see one kid right in front of me came to me, Tristan, good to see you. They come to me. I know they want to do it, but they can't afford to do it. So my job is to get out there and find those means to the opportunity. We have a young man, I don't know if he's here today, by the name of Jason Arzain. He's homegrown. Some of you know his family. Our first cohort of ground school, I promised them, the top student in the ground school, I would get them a scholarship. And if any of you know how much scholarships or how much it costs to learn how to fly, you know that it ain't cheap. It was hard work getting it. But I got two $20,000 scholarships. Jason, yes. Jason he should have already soloed, but we've got some weather problems and some airplane problems. But Jason is an amazing young man. He's at Sacramento State now, he's got two main instructors, and they all say this kid is talented. I go by Adam Grant has a quote. I'm not going to steal it from him. I'm going to give him his props. He says, "Talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not." Isn't that rich? Say that again. I will say it again. Talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. Adam Grant. And so if you go to my website, it might be on here. I live, that's in me as well. I know that these kids have the talent, they have the desire. And if they don't have a talent to fly, as we see, there's all other kinds of opportunities in aviation. And so what I do is I expose them. Some kids just ain't meant to fly. Not behind the yoke, but there's air traffic controllers. We've got an internship program. And I'm going to mention. Don't think I'm not going to mention you, buddy. But we've got an internship program or at Avenue or at Access at a couple of maintenance fields here at Palo Alto, and we're going to try to work a little bit deeper with United on a couple of ideas that I want to pass by them. But we've got kids that come out of East Palo Alto that have gone through and learned how to turn wrench and nuts and bolts on aircraft engines. Some of the things we've done this year. Thank you for moving me along. Because like I said, it's in me and I talk. I'm not a talker, but I'm a talker. We do workshops. We have a bunch of gentlemen in this audience who work with us and are mentors. You heard me talk about scholarships, and we're still working to get more. We've got Joby, we've got 34, 27. We've got a bunch of kids in our ground school now. And when they're done, I see some in this audience. When we're done with their ground school, I've already got them set up to take their ground school exam. Career development. Absolutely, not just a pilot, but a pilot. Career development seminars. We work with organizations. We work with Job Train. We're working with United. We're working with Joby. We're working with organizations just to help us with the mentorship process. And then we do things like this where they can connect with those people and others. Can you go to the next one, please? You can read for yourself, but there's one thing on here that I really want to focus on, and I didn't bring a slide or a picture about it, but you see where it says environment reform? Our organization, including a bunch of the kids here, and just a second, because I want this to be known. If you work for either the Palo Alto Airport Association, or FAA Air Traffic Control, would you please just stand up, please? There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Andy Swanson, Mike Ludkins, thank you, gentlemen. And they have been more than friends of Bay Area Urban Eagles. But back to the environmental reform, the organizations that I just mentioned, we worked together, our kids, those organizations, to get the noise and environmental pollution diverted away from our city. People know I fly, so they were calling me when planes flew over too close, and I let the guys know. And so we sat down and we mapped out a plan. Right now, the path to go from the runway out towards the Dumbarton Bridge used to be abused, I'll say. And if you're residents here, you know about it. Folks would make a left turn, we call it left crosswind, over East Palo Alto. Well, what we've done, and thank you again, Andy and Mike and others, the team at East Palo at Bay Area Urban Eagles, what we've done now is made it. It's not mandatory, and we can't as the FAA says, we can't call that procedure mandatory, but it's definitely a recommended procedure where they go to the Dumbarton Bridge and do not make a left turn, a left crosswind, until they're 1,000 feet. Don't cross over the 101 until they're at 1,500 feet. That significantly reduces the noise and other environmental pollution effects over our city, over East Palo Alto and the Bellhaven communities. And so for that, I want to thank you guys for that. You guys have really made a difference. They're still working on it. We've got something called 2000 Arrow, which will actually find those who are violating, and a little nasty gram will go out to them. They've already started doing that. And there's one offender that we talked about just in our last meeting Monday, who will be getting a sit down with Andy and the FAA. So anyway, thank you. That's one of the big things. You guys just don't know how big that was, how much work we put into it, but I'm proud of what we did. I'm going to pass it back to Q. Again, thank you all for coming, and we appreciate you. We appreciate all that you're doing for us.
Another round of applause for Mike. All right. We're really about to get to the meat of this event and this story, this day. It's not a story. I mean, I guess it can be a story. Is any media in here? Okay, we'll make sure that happens the next time. How many of you have not, by show of hands, how many of you have not flown on an airplane? Two. We have two people that have not flown on an airplane. We got to make that possible for the both of you. You got a cheat code with your dad. I'm thinking that's your father. She's flown? Oh, we got one person. So that's what that just, I was kind of scratching my head like, how's daddy? Okay. Mike, we got somebody, for you who has not flown on a plane. Just Y'all messing up my, come on, man. Come on. All right, so that's good. That's there. How many of you, by show of hands, wants to be a pilot? Nice. I'm doing a little bit of grooming for the people that are going to come up here. How many of you dream to be an astronaut?
I did.
I did too. How many of you are still dreaming to be that astronaut? I love it. That's adults in the room. How many of you dream to be an engineer? Hold up. I need this because I'm about to surprise somebody. An engineer, how many of y'all trying to be an engineer? 1, 2, 3, 4. What kind of engineer? Mechanical engineer. I have 2 engineering degrees. One is mechanical, the other one is manufacturing. I got to get this to you just because. Other types. Aeronautical, which was the first engineer that I wanted to be. An aeronautical engineer because I also wanted to go to space and all of that. Then I realized that I could do a lot more with mechanical engineers. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this to you. Closed mouths don't get fed. We're actually going to be doing some giveaways. So I appreciate everybody raising their hand. There was one in the back, I think. Sarah, what type of engineer? Civil. Dang, that was like my third choice. But and one more. I saw a young hand. Yes. What's your name? Oliver. I love it. Stand up, Oliver. Let's all give him a round of applause. What kind of engineer you want to be?
Honestly, mechanical or AI.
Mechanical and AI. Ooh. You about to make a new engineer. I love that one. I got to come and shake your hand, and we're going to talk after this. You want to go to Northwestern University. It's a great university. It's really cold out there, but it is top 10. And I'm going to always be a recruiter. That's where I'm wearing this color purple. But actually, I'm going to be quiet, but this is the stuff that we're actually going to be doing. This is different. Most of the time when you see these panels and they're moderated, it really becomes a conversation between the moderator and the panel. That's not what today is. We're engaging. I'm going to allow these panelists to talk about themselves. And the goal is for them to inspire you to be able to have questions and anything else that you can throw at them. And then there's going to be that opportunity for all of you all to come and then really, truly engage. So hopefully you won't hear my voice too much. If you hear my voice, that means that you all are quiet. And that also means that I can't give away a few more things. So y'all know what to do, right? When they come up here, you're going to be listening, but the conversation becomes between you all and our panelists. And so I'm going to start to bring our panelists out. If I can get this working. the first panelist I'm going to bring up to the stage, Elizabeth Antoine Hands. I hope I pronounced that right. Aerospace engineering student, so shout out to those looking into aeronautical and aerospace engineering. The credentials that we're actually putting on here, it's a lot more that can be said. But we had to figure out some of the top highlights and headlines for them. FAA, you see NASA. If you don't know what those acronyms stand for, because we are in the home of acronyms, please start to ask. That might be a question in the future. The next person I'm going to bring out is Niraj Saini. Saini. Big hometown props. Graduating senior, San Jose State University. Anybody graduate of San Jose State? That's what's up. Y'all gotta make some noise for your peoples, right? Anybody thinking about going to San Jose State? I spoke to the engineering students there too, mechanical engineering. They got a good mechanical engineering there. I'm gonna keep this party going. We got 3 more people. Mona Adams Mabry. Mona,
I did that. That's
my bad. Mabry Adams.
Yes.
We're gonna switch that. My apologies for that. As you can see, United Airlines shout out. They might know one another. I don't know, but again, having someone from the airlines here, again, they're going to be able to talk a bit more about themselves. But again, listen intently, and also I shouted out things that you all, in terms of career paths and job paths, that you might be able to connect with. We have 2 more.
Yes.
Mariel Ham.
Ham in the house.
All right, make some noise. All right. Armed Forces. I know her story is definitely inspiring, because the types of pathways, it's not always where you start and what brings you into it, but the different pathways and connections you can make that can then, explore different career paths. So big shout out, and please, again, shout out for our Armed Forces. Last but not least, Claudia Contreras. Out of all these stats, you can even see the timing. Started flying in 2004, took time to raise kids, those things, but true calling in 2011 takes time. Even me, again, as I was talking about, started aeronautical engineering, little civil, found my way to mechanical engineering, and now I'm not even in engineering at all, but I'm here in front of y'all. So, all right. Now, again, like I promised, I'm going to end up shutting up, because the thing that we are going to allow all of you to do, I don't know who wants to start, maybe somebody with show of hands who wants to start, but please take the time to tell us your story in your own words and in a way.
Why don't we start from the far end and just move our way to the right?
There we go. That's why he's my boss. So we're gonna start, and I'm gonna actually leave you all's holders up at the same time. So we're gonna start with Elizabeth, and again, the goal is to tell us your story in your own words, and then also being able to have folks navigate your career paths.
Thank you for the 5-women panel.
Hey.
Yes.
All right.
Cool. Am I audible? Yes, I am. Oh, joy. You all have to listen to me. This is going to be great. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Look, there's my little face on the screen, and also right down here. I am an undergraduate student. Look, it says that again. At San Jose State, I'm doing aerospace engineering, and this is kind of like stop 3 on the career track. So we've been wandering around. When I was a very, very small human, both of my parents moved over here from the UK, so we would fly back and forth, and you're a little kid, you're just like glued to the window, right? It's like, oh wow, I can see stars and stuff. There's like oceans. This whole thing is like so neat. I would always go up to the front to the cockpit where the pilot was and be like, wow, there's a lot of buttons and gauges, and this is all kind of very interesting. And then as a child, I was like, I want to be a brain surgeon. No, that's too much pressure. I want to be an astrophysicist. No, they don't get paid any money. Okay, maybe I could be a pilot. And when I was in high school, I was very, very fortunate to meet the aircraft manager for San Carlos Airport, and she was like, hey, there's some old dudes building an airplane in an unheated hangar on the airfield. Do you want to come and look at it? And I was like, yeah, dog. Yes, I do. And I kind of got started down that track, and I was like, okay, I'm really interested now in aviation as a career path. Can I go and be a pilot? And the FAA was like, we've seen your medical history, absolutely not. And I was like, okay, I guess I won't be a pilot. And by that point, I was kind of wrapping up high school. And then the world ended because I graduated high school in June of 2019. And COVID happened immediately after. And I was like, well, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. I was going to do the community college thing, but we're putting that on hold. I went and I got my A&P through Aviation Institute of Maintenance in Fremont. Whoop, whoop. Shout out if anyone's been there.
What's A&P?
Airframe and power plant. So if you're an airplane mechanic, that's everything, or an aircraft mechanic, I should say, that's everything from little kind of rinky-dink helicopters up to a 747 is that battery of certification. It takes 2 years. And about halfway through, I was like, wow, this is a total pain in the butt. Like, it's awful for my back, and my wrists are killing me. Like, who is putting these things together? This is crazy. And around the same time, I had gone back to community college by this point. I found out about the Patty Gray Smith Fellowship, which you can see, it's up there. This is a plug for them. If you know any aspiring Black students in aerospace, it's a great program. This is my mandatory plug because they're so cool. And then you can go and do cool things and make me look also cool as an alumni by association, which we love. And I was very lucky to go and intern at Relativity Space down in Long Beach. And I met, for anyone who's unfamiliar, they do additive manufacturing for rockets. So it's a big 3D printer with a big spool of aluminum, and they're printing rockets from nothing. It's super awesome. There's a great video on YouTube by Veritasium if you want to check it out. Very cool. And I was working with all of these engineers, and the guy to my right, my desk mate, was a third-year mechanical engineering student at Harvard. And I was like, man, it's really weird that all of these systems are designed in a way that isn't maintainable. And he was like, hey, I got this part back from manufacturing. Let's go downstairs to the shop floor and test it. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, okay, I'll learn something. I'll go with this guy. And we get to the shop floor, and the technician's like, okay, we're gonna hook it up to the rig. We just got to torque it down to this. And the Harvard guy goes, that's so cool. I don't know how to use a torque wrench. And I'm like, oh, this is why we have a problem. So I went back to school for aerospace engineering, and now I'm at San Jose State because the systems that we have aren't maintainable long term. So it's a problem that needs to be fixed, and that's like my whole driving career goal. And as a fun bonus, I found out very recently that I'm going to be able to learn how to fly. So we're going to have our little trifecta of maintenance, design, and operation. And that's my whole little spiel. Hey. And I'm sure you'll hear more from me later. But I'm going to move it on to the next person.
So I think I want to be you when I grow up. Hi, I'm Mona Madry Adams, and I am a flight attendant with United, based here out of SFO. And next month, I celebrate 20 years with United.
Hey!
So essentially, I started with United. I had zero plans to become a flight attendant. I was working in nonprofit and writing, and had gotten laid off. And my sister said, well, why don't you go be a flight attendant for a year while you try to figure your life out? So she worked for, at the time, it was Continental, and said, we're hiring, why don't you come? So I applied, planned to do it for a year while I figured my life out, and I think I found my calling. So I've started in DC because they were only hiring in DC. This was in 2005. So pretty much the first wave of hiring after 9/11. And basically grew up in California. I was like, oh yeah, I'll totally go to the East Coast. I've never been there. This will be fun. Spent one winter there where I went on a trip, and parking there is outdoors. So parked my car, went on a trip, came back, and there was like that much ice all around my car. Had no idea what to do. Mechanic had to chisel me out, and I put in my transfer for California same night. So back in San Francisco, I've worked as a recruiter, so I helped recruit flight attendants, interview them, send them off to training. And I've also worked in, we call it CQ, but essentially emergency response. It's our emergency recurrent training. So every year flight attendants have to go through training and basically make sure that they know how to evacuate an aircraft, also go through a lot of our health and safety things, and make sure that we do certain things that the FAA definitely wants us to be current on, and then also the company. So did evaluation and instruction for a few years doing that. And then one day I was in the flight deck, and the sun was setting, and so whenever the pilots have to take care of business, there has to be 2 people in the flight deck at all times while we're in the air. So usually it's a flight attendant, sometimes there's an extra pilot, but domestically for us, we only have 2 pilots. So one was off doing his thing. I was sitting in the cockpit, and we were in a 787. The sun was starting to set, and it was beautiful. And I sat there and said, you know, if I'd known how much I like flying, I would have become a pilot. And he looked at me, the captain looked at me and said, why don't you do that? And I was like, I teach as a flight instructor, and I'm working on my hours, and maybe I'll get back to United as a pilot, maybe not, we'll see. So.
Wow, I don't know if I can follow that, but I'll try. So before I tell you my story, I just want to tell you one recurring theme that's happened to me in my life, and that's if you have a passion, no matter how hard you try to get away from it or life takes you away from it, it will always come back to you, and you'll see why. So junior year in high school, right? That's when everybody's like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? What are you going to do with your life? And it's stressful as a junior in high school. You have no idea what's out there. So I did what everybody did. Oh, you know, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be a veterinarian. I had no idea. So where I lived, it was maybe 10 miles away from the airport, and every year they do an air show. So from my backyard, I could see that air show. So I was always attracted to aviation. I didn't know I wanted to do with it. I didn't know women could do it. I thought it was a man thing. So I didn't even think about it. I was like, ooh, airplanes are so much fun. So going on, I went to college because I wanted to get away from my little town of 1,000 people. I lived in a little town, there's only 1,000 people. I was like, I don't want to live here. I want to go experience the world. So I went to college 40 minutes away. But I got out of my little town. Got my degree in computer science, thought, yeah, I'm going to be a software engineer. But driving to my job, retail job, while paying for college, I saw that the airport had introductory flights for $69. I was like, ooh, I got $69. I can afford this. So I went, I talked to the office manager. I was like, hey, I want to do one of these introductory flights. He's like, oh, well, you're lucky. We happen to have a flight instructor right here who can take you up right now. I was like, really? Right now? I don't have to do anything? She's like, no, you'll be fine. So up we went. That was it. I was in love. I was like, this is amazing. Looking at the Monterey Bay area from 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, is like, wow. And then he let me fly the airplane. I was like, really? I don't know anything about airplanes. I just think they're cool. He's like, no, go ahead. So he let me do some turns, and yeah. I was like, okay, this is it. You take my money. Here's my money. But he gave me some advice. He's like, no, finish your degree. Get that degree, because it's going to be your backup. You never know what's going to happen in life. So get that degree and then come back. Or as you're finishing your college, if you have a little bit of extra money, just come back, you know. I was like, okay. So I did that. I graduated. I got a job there at the college doing some tutoring. And all that extra money went into flying lessons. Computer science degree, I have it. I still use it. But aviation was like my passion. I was like, oh man, this is so much fun. So I got all my ratings, became an instructor, but then life happens, right? Fell in love, had some kids, had to raise them. You know how it goes. But that calling from aviation was always there. It's like, I'd take my kids to the air show, and the instructor who gave me my discovery flight was at that air show, and so I recognized him.
You seen me, right? You seen me ask for oxtail.
Yeah, so he was there. He's like, hey, how's it going? I told him, yeah, I got my license. I was a flight instructor, but I haven't flown in 5 years. I believe it was at that time. He's like, well, luckily, they told me to get that I fell back on, so I became a software engineer working from home. And so things started getting better, 21, 22. Because I've kept up my instructor rating, I've been able to do flight instructing on the weekends, on the evenings, and then have my software engineer job. So that's what I'm saying. If something is a passion and life takes you away, it's always gonna come back, because your heart, that's where your heart is. And aviation has my heart.
My bad, y'all, about that oxtail.
Okay, I don't know if this thing is on. Hi guys, my name is Mirage. My story isn't as long-winded as these beautiful people are, because I think I'm just at the start of my career, which means that I can resonate more for kids and growing adults that want to get into aviation. So I luckily work at the City of Palo Alto Airport, which is just down the street, and I also worked as an EMT for a little bit. So I guess my story starts out when I was around 11. I had watched a U.S. Army documentary about medevac landing, and it was about nurses and EMTs that are on helicopters landing into these very hotspot zones, making quick landings, grabbing people and getting out of there. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it. And it was something that I was really interested in. And I was growing up, and my parents were really pushing the medical field on me, as we know, not to be stereotypical, but you know, it's the typical Asian parents that they want you to do engineering, medical field, something like that. And so my mom's a nurse, her sisters are nurses, my brother's a nurse, and I had that really heavy outside influence into joining that medical field. But for some reason, it just didn't feel like something that I was actually interested in or wanted to do. It was really big words, things that I didn't really understand, these different color pills and medications that just didn't seem very interesting to me. So my parents told me, why don't you just do something small in there, become a med tech or do something, within an airport or a clinic. And I said, you know what, might as well just go for my EMT while I'm in school, and I can do my degree in aviation and, see which I want to follow, if I want to become, follow through and become a paramedic. So I took an accelerated program for EMT. Usually it takes 2 semesters, which is about 8 months, and I did it in about 2 months. Luckily, I passed my state test on the first try. Thank God. And from there, I worked as an EMT for about 5 months, and I absolutely hated it. I did it because I wanted to put myself through school. I didn't really want to have my parents help me, and so I just kind of, you kind of just got to suck it up and go to work and do what you got to do. And that's what I did. And at some point, I had within, when you're working in an ambulance unit, you have 2 people. Usually you switch off, one's the technician and one's the driver, or, vice versa, whatever call you get. And so there was this one shift where I had this really big dude who was also in the Army, super strong, and he had life goals that he wanted to become a firefighter. And for me, we were sitting and we were driving to a call, and one day he's just like, what are you doing here? Because EMTs, nobody does this as a career. Nobody wants to do this as a career. Being an EMT and working within this ambulance unit is just a stepping stone to move forward, to do paramedic, flight nurses, become a nurse, become a ER technician, firefighter. And this guy wanted to become a firefighter. So he's like, if you have no passion within what you're doing right now, then you shouldn't be doing it and you should follow what you want to do. And I said, you know what, you're pretty right. And so I literally quit within the next 2 weeks, and I didn't want to do this. And I realized that I really wanted to pursue this aviation thing. So then I started looking for jobs, whether it's with RAMP or working as an aircraft detailer. And I luckily got to meet Michael, and I got my first job within airport operations. And at this time, I was like, you know what, if this medical thing doesn't work, I want to be a pilot. I'll do the piloting thing and, see where it goes from there. And I've completely dropped that. I absolutely love airport operations, and I absolutely enjoy what I do every single day. Every day is different, from where it's an aircraft incident, or I'm welding something, or I could be mowing the grass, or just leading aircraft to wherever they need to go, and working with my lovely partner here. So yeah, that's what I do, I guess.
Hello everyone, my name is Marielle Ham. I'm an air traffic controller. I started controlling back in 2011, where I joined the Army, made it through the ranks up to a sergeant, worked at 2 different facilities. The first one was Hampshire Army Airfield at Fort Rucker, Alabama. It was the base field for Apache helicopters, the Kiowa Warriors, and we worked with the Chinooks. The other tower I worked at is in the Marshall Islands in Kwajalein Atoll, where there's a bunch of different aircraft coming in and out, different missions. They'll shoot missiles out from Vandenberg and see it go across the bay over there, and some secret squirrel stuff that they do that we honestly don't know about too much. We just deal with the aircraft. I joined the FAA back in 2017. My first facility was Oakland Tower. I was there until 2019. Then, like I said, life happens. Moved to the East Coast with my daughter, and at the time it was my husband, and ended up, things didn't work out as planned, but life goes on. You still have to pursue your dream, and aviation.
We're here with Neil, and Neil is connected to Red Tails. How are you connected to Red Tails?
I'm part of the Red Tails, California Red Tails. We're part of the Black Pilots of America organization. We have a chapter here in California. Jarvis is the president. I am the vice president, and we help youth. You know, we mentor to youth as people who want to be involved with aviation, but also as part of the group, we have monthly fly-ins. We do trips to other places, you know, like the end of this month, I think we're going to Harris Ranch with other pilots who own their own airplanes.
Going where?
Harris Ranch, which is, you know, going down to LA.
Yeah.
There's this restaurant that, you know, serves steak and all that stuff. So that's
Okay.
kind of where we go. We do fly-ins different places through the state of California and some other places.
How did you connect with this organization? How long you been flying planes?
Oh, so I've been flying planes since I was about 19. I went to college, and I always wanted to be a pilot. So ever since I was a little kid, growing up in the Caribbean, I wanted to fly airplanes, and I went to college, majored in aviation, got my degree in aviation, and I actually got my pilot's license before my driver's license. So that's how I became a pilot. I also have I was on a podcast about my experiences, so I can share that with you guys later on.
Okay, nice.
About the journey that I've taken to where I'm at today.
Yes. Okay.
Nice. Now, how did you guys connect with this event right here, Meet the Pros?
So with this event, with Meshack, he
Michael.
wasn't. Yeah, with Michael. Michael was part of. He's also part of the Red Tails. And I think about 2 years ago, we had an event, a volunteer event, over in Reed Hillview in San Jose Airport. So we were connected, and he wanted our organization to take a part, be instrumental in helping out the Bay Area Urban Eagles. So that's how we became involved, mentorship in terms of talking about what we've done and how to enable other youngsters to become part of the aviation industry who are interested.
I like it. One thing that's real interesting about it to me, besides being interested in aviation, airplanes, and pilots, I know that was not really a big influence when I was growing up. You didn't really see people that's been involved in the aviation industry. And even when I've heard a couple of years ago, without paying attention to it, but I've heard that only 2% of, black people or people of color are pilots. And so I wanted to ask you, as someone who's in aviation, is that number better? Is that number pretty much accurate? How many of us are in aviation, but specifically as far as pilots, as far as people from black people or people of color, minorities?
Well, I know there has been a lot of things about this initiative from our government, but so far I think the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the percentage is still relatively low. I think overall pilots itself, I think about 71% are white, 21% female, and I think perhaps about 8% African Americans or black. So the percentage is still low, relatively speaking. So I'm not sure if that's completely accurate, but that's the last statistics that I've seen. Obviously, when you go to an airport or so forth, you don't see too many African Americans as pilots. You still see predominantly the other races and so forth. But I think that's changing, hopefully, slowly.
Right.
And I think it's really important that we expose people of color who are interested in this career, that there is an avenue and that you can be successful. Although it is very expensive, I think you still, if you have a goal and a dream, you still can be successful in this industry.
My YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, is primarily based on just really following around things that I'm interested in, things that I like, whatever I like. And also I try to show us, as far as our culture, in the opposite way than the way they tend to show us leading off the news. Whenever we lead off the news, they always want to show us doing something that's ignorant, and that's how they start off every day's broadcast on the news. So I try to, especially when I find somebody that's doing something different, something positive from our community, I really like to highlight that and show that on my channel. Brother, I got to ask you, how did you get to be a pilot? How did you get in aviation? Even if you don't want to go through the whole, give me at least some information of how, because this is like a real interesting thing. I think people will find it really interesting, is that what we're doing, we're doing some of everything all over the world, but TV doesn't necessarily show that. So how did you get in aviation, specifically being a pilot?
Yeah, as I stated earlier, I've always had a dream, a passion of being a pilot. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to fly airplanes. One thing I know, as a kid, my parents, my family were all very supportive. They were all very supportive of me and my passion and my goal. So I think you not only you have set yourself goals of what you want to be, but I think it's also important to have that support from the community to help propel you along. Also, when I was in middle school, I had a teacher who lives not too far from where we are today. She was very instrumental in me pursuing my aviation career by providing me resources to do researches from colleges about the aviation industry as well. So those are some of the people in my life who has helped me along the way pursue my dream. So as I said, when I went to college, after high school, I went to Indiana State University and studied aviation. And I received all of my certificates during my time at the university. And then once I left the university, I went on to grad school. I didn't fly as much after school. I worked in tech, and then a few years ago, I got laid off from my tech career, and then I started just to get back into the aviation career. And with Bay Area Urban Eagles, with Michael Mashak, he actually connected me with another resource about a year ago, actually a year and a half ago. And now I'm flying a bigger airplane called a PC-12 out of Palo Alto, and it's due to Michael's commitment and referral. I'm where I am today.
I love it. I love it. Let me one last question, brother. I definitely have to ask you a question about exactly what is California red tails. I know about the red tails. I first heard about the red tails from the HBO movie about the red tails, I guess, in World War II. In general, what is it that red tails does? Give our people out there some information about California red tails, where they came from, and what do they do?
Yeah, so the California Red Tails, as I mentioned, I think it's a chapter of the Black Pilots of America. And many of the Red Tails here in California, the Red Tails, the organization that I'm part of, many of the pilots, they own their own airplane. So we meet together usually on a monthly basis, and we fly to various areas, airports through the state of California. It's basically part of a group where we take part in not only we talk about flying, obviously, but we also volunteer and take young individuals who may want to pursue flying, and some of them are part of our organization in which we teach them about flying. For those of us who are certified flight instructors, as well as expose them to opportunities, not only locally, but also if they want to pursue opportunities in the airline world, the corporate world, and things like that. But essentially, it's an organization where we basically socialize in terms of talk aviation. Many of the owners have their own airplanes, and then we take part in those activities.
All right, Neil. Well, thank you for joining us here on AM Dynasty, and I definitely appreciate you sharing your story. And hopefully, you continue to inspire people out there with just some of the words and the wisdom that you're dropping right now. I'm sure that's going to be the case. So, thank you, good brother.
All right, thank you so much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this AM Dynasty presentation featuring Urban Eagles Meet the Pros event on AM Dynasty. Special thanks to Michael Mashak for allowing AM Dynasty to be a part of, record, and produce this awesome event. We hope you guys learned a lot and enjoyed the content. See you on the next one. AM Dynasty.